Better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we had 40 people registered, and I don't know, maybe there's 20 here, so congratulations on being here. But welcome to sales and real estate. We all have good intentions. We all want training. We all want to level up. We all sign up for stuff, and then half of us show up. Even about 20% of us only show up to make money in the right ways. So congratulations for being here, but since you are here, let's just not waste our time. We only bring legitimate speakers in that know exactly what they're talking about through experience, through success, through them actually really caring about what they do. Matt Hawks is one of the best agents that I've ever been associated with. He's trained and mentored a lot of real estate agents, but he's also trained thousands of salespeople in general, right, Matt? Like trained a lot of salespeople all across this country. He is legit in the sales process, in the service process. But the real reason I brought him in today is he's one of the most resourceful agents that I've ever dealt with, meaning where a lot of people might complain about, oh, I have a buyer and I can't get their offers accepted. He can turn that buyer that can't get an offer accepted into double-siding the deal and getting another listing. Where he gets that resourceful in, okay, how do I actually go out and hunt for a property for this buyer instead of just looking on the MLS? And if you have that kind of mentality, that kind of energy, that kind of resourcefulness, it just leads to opportunity after opportunity. So I've seen what he's about to teach today. It matters. So my challenge to you is be fully engaged, take good notes, and walk away with one or two principles that you can implement today. Deal?
Yeah.
Deal? Yeah. All right, let's roll.
Oh, thank you. All right, so breaking the vibe for a little bit. I'm going to pick this real quick and then give it $25. Because that person will pay attention. All right. Do you have it? Oh, too late, right? Okay. So this person's name is Bailey. Who's Bailey? Raise your hand. Bailey. How do you say your last name?
Showman.
Yep, that's you. The second one, who has sold $1 million property, and it's Justin. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is a for sale by owner. She wrote me, but you wrote my last name wrong. That's okay. But yes, I've converted a for sale by owner, and then the last one was concert tickets. Koa, am I saying it right again?
Yeah,
Koa?
good enough. It's Qua.
Qua.
Yeah.
That was not good enough. That's not good enough. Qua, and you went to Fiji.
Yes. That's
Band.
not his name. Fiji.
Front row?
Yeah.
Was it amazing?
I performed too. Oh, you said.
That's nice. Who's been to a concert in the front row? Or close to? Like, is it a totally different feeling when you're in the front row versus the very back?
Yes.
Totally different. I've been to 7 U2 concerts and some in the very, very back and one in the front, and it's like goosebumps the whole time and tears. And I did say U2 and tears, but yeah.
I just went to Garth Brooks because someone
Oh, yeah.
So don't judge me if you don't like country, but someone paid. I'm like, okay, cool. But he flipped so much sweat from his eyebrows. If I was in that
That was
row, I would
amazing.
have had a shower.
That's so good. So good. They were all wearing their masks. $25 for Qua.
Oh.
Nice, give her a hand.
Yeah.
Hey, why did I do, oh, because you were the, that's why you were so surprised. Why are you surprised? Baby. Yeah. All right, so if you got some fruits and cookies, look back and thank Faith Perkins for that. So it's sponsored by Faith. She sells Cutco closing gifts. She's going to talk at the very end. So please stay for just a little bit because her gifts are amazing. I have used this for the past 5 years, and it's cool because you can brand your name on it. And I don't know about you, but I cut something every single day, multiple times a day. And when they see your name multiple times a day, it's just branding your name, right? So it's a really good gift. And you're not spending more money than you would somewhere else, but she'll talk about it. I am so excited about today because I love real estate. Last night, I couldn't even sleep because I was so excited. It was like Christmas, the night before Christmas. Or if you're from Southern Idaho, it's like the night before the
Deer hunt.
deer hunt. I trained her back in my past life 7 years ago. She was a new high school recruit, and I trained her, and so anyway. And I really am excited. If you're not excited, your exciters are broken, and my job, I have 90 minutes to get those working, okay? Hopefully they'll be working before that. So there's so much drama in your day when your day is not designed. Who would agree with that?
Yes.
I hope that we start thinking about doing less multitasking. We are the masters at multitasking, right? And more time blocking. And we'll talk about that later. The reason why we're having this training today is because all of you are in different situations. Some of you are brand new realtors, know nothing about real estate or sales. Some of you maybe are in a little funk and you need a hard reset. And some of you, you're very, very fulfilled and you're getting exciting results with real estate and in other areas of your life, and you just want to level it up. You want an upgrade. And so my hope is that, everything that I talk about is directed to you. If you take out, you have 2 handouts, ignore one of them, which is stapled. We'll talk about this later. That's like some dialogue and script. This handout has a schedule on it, ignore that. But if you look at that, by the way, raise your hand if you don't have handouts, and Jen will, if you can. Jen or Justin can come around and give you the 2 handouts. But look at this front one. It says the 10 days to a brand new life. If you look over here, this box says nuggets and to-do list. Some of the stuff that I say isn't going to vibe with you. You're not going to align with it. You're not going to do it, and that is totally okay. Some of the stuff you'll really, really love. And some of the stuff that's a nugget to you, it might not be something that I say, but something that your neighbor says, because this is going to be some interacting too. So if you hear a nugget, I want you to yell out, "Nugget!" And that will get other people being like, "What's happening?" So let's practice saying nugget.
Nugget!
Nugget. I want you to say it, okay? Write down your to-do list or your priority list and some nuggets right there. And then your best appointment setting activities that you're going to be doing. I'm going to talk about a bunch of them that top producers in the entire country are doing, but you don't have to do all of them. There's over 30 things that you can do right now to get immediate listings, and you're not going to do all of them, nor should you. But there are top ones. There are people that are very relevant for you to do in the next 10 days where you can get immediate listings, okay? And I hope that you want that. I hope that you want to get immediate results and immediate listings. Raise your hand if you're kind of new in the industry or you feel new. Raise your hand. If you've been in this business for a little while, raise your hand. Okay, so now I know the group we're working with. Some of you there's 3 of you that are experienced and most of you are not, so that's good. Before we start though, I want to take a little bit of time and I want you to use your creative minds, your conscious right now, and actively think about why you're here. We're going to spend 2 minutes doing this is all. And I want you to take some time to reflect on why you chose to come here, and what you're committed to getting out of this training. So just a few minutes to do this. We'll leave and I'll try to be as quiet as I can while you talk, throw out some ideas, but how do you think you taking action in the next 10 days will get you maybe not just in the right mindset, but start creating a habit, start impacting your life. And it doesn't have to do with real estate either. So I'm going to focus on some real estate activities, but I'll also talk about your mindset. Your mindset really matters right now more than ever, especially for those that are new. What kind of results? You can be as specific as you want. What do you feel you suck at? And that's okay for me to use that language because you use that language on yourself without even realizing it. What do you suck at and what do you want to not suck at?
Okay.
Write that. What do I suck at and what do I not want to suck at? You need to recognize those things. If you want to truly enjoy life, you do have to face the music. You have to recognize what you're failing at. All right, just take about 30 more seconds. Less than that, 10 seconds. All right, so there's we know that we have our conscious and we have our subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the active mind. That's the creative mind. That's where it solves problems. It goes, I have an idea, and it changes its mind. The subconscious mind is totally opposite, and it's the habit mind. And what's really great about it is it's really hard to change. We want that so our habits don't fall apart. So it's resistant to change. They found that in the first 6 years of a human's life, you have an empty brain, and so it fills all of its programmings, its set of beliefs, its behaviors in the first 6 years of life. So your future, or how you see the future, is stored in your subconscious. What's interesting is that before you're 7, your brain works at a lower vibrational frequency than it does right now. It's kind of like the same frequency as hypnosis, and it's meant to do that so it can learn everything. Essentially, we learn everything from our parents, our family, our community before we're 7 years old. And so after we're 7, we form habits by repeating something over and over and over again, right? It's like brain scans can predict a person's decision up to 11 seconds before they make that decision. Neuroscientists have found that most of our lives, 95% of our life, we're unaware of our subconscious is making our everyday decisions. And so that's good, that's okay. But what I want you to maybe challenge you to do for the next 90 minutes is I want you to come up with your to-do list, or like with your creative mind, make decisions. And that's not going to create a habit, right? That's not going to change your subconscious, because if our subconscious is not controlling us, but if it's running the show 95% of our time, and it conflicts with an idea that we come up with or that we have and we want to change, who's probably going to win? Okay, and so again, you sitting here for 90 minutes is not going to change that. An hour, 60 minutes. And not even for the next 10, you doing those over and over and over for the next 10 days is probably not going to change that habit. My son's just started football, his first year in tackle football. He's 9 years old, and I'm so excited for him. I've been watching the last couple of days of training, and those coaches are brutal. He practices 4 nights a week until 9 p.m., and it's hardcore. Anyway, we're practicing. He was practicing catching with me yesterday. I was throwing over and over and over to him, and he was, when I throw to this side, he catches it correctly, and then when I throw to this side, automatically he just sticks his hand out and he never catches it. I'm like, dude, his brain is used to just doing that. He's left-handed, so he reaches out his left hand. So I just said, put your left hand down and reach with your right hand. Who cares if you catch it? And we did this so many different times. I'm like, okay, now just catch the ball and throw it, and automatically went like this. Today, when I threw it to him like that, guess what he did? He just reached with one hand. You have to practice it over and over and over again. Even if you do it over and over again in one day, that's still not enough. Again, your mindset is a really big thing. So I challenge you to, like, the point of the 10 days and why we're calling it 10 days to a brand new life is your life is not going to change in 10 days. But what you do for the next 10 days is really going to give you immediate results and immediate appointments. So, has anyone heard of Parkinson's law? There's 2 laws. This guy, I don't know his first name, but his last name is Parkinson's. And it's this phenomenon that says work expands to the time allotted. So if we give ourselves a certain amount of time to complete a task, we could have completed that task in 1 hour in a shorter period of time. The other law is called the law of triviality, and it just says we tend to devote larger amounts of time to the things that aren't as important, that are trivial, and ignore the things that are more important. Who agrees with that right there? And that's why it's so important that we're intentional with our time, and that we have a morning routine, and that we are intentional with what we're doing on even an hourly basis. So what I want to do is we're going to talk about a bunch of appointment setting activities, and you're going to decide what you want to do, what is the most, what aligns with you. And then after that, we're going to create your 10-day schedule, and then we're going to be done. But I'm excited for this stuff. I've been listening and looking and reflecting on my business and watching a lot of top coaches in the country, and got advice from Spring and Justin, who are top producers in the country. And here is what I found. I sent a survey out to a lot of realtors 2 weeks ago. And some of these realtors are in Utah, some of them are across the country. And the first question I asked was, how many deals did you do in 2020? And then the next question had to do with what was the number one source out of your 60 deals or how many ever you did, what was the number one prospecting activity? And people they wrote down they did 20 deals, 30 deals, 40, 50, 60, over that. And the number one prospecting activity or the number one source of all their deals came from what, do you think? Okay, that's funny that you said that immediately, and it's true. Two of my buddies had over 60 deals, and one of them they did 65 deals, and 55 came from their sphere of influence. Okay, sphere of influence doesn't just mean your cousin and your grandma and your parents. It's just not like people you immediately know, but it also has to do with your past clients and also referrals from your sphere of influence. Okay, but that's a massive, massive number. Every single one of them that responded to the survey, 60 to 85% of their deals came from their SOI. So is there some weight right there? Some maybe like, okay, what should I, especially if you're new, what should I be focused on right now? If you're an agent that gets a lot of production, I promise you that you are not tapping into your sphere of influence enough. Again, your sphere of influence is not just people that you immediately know. Think of it now as like your database, just any acquaintance that you have. I would suggest, and I'm not gonna spend time on doing this, I used to spend tons of time in my past life, like helping people create this SOI list, and they write down their name, number, email, home address, and you create hundreds and hundreds of people. If you just Google SOI thought jogger list, it will give you tons of categories, and you spend a couple hours on this, you can come up with a ton of people. And the reason why you want to do this is activities that we'll talk about in a little bit. And when I say not just their phone number, I'm also like, it's super important to get their email and their home address, okay? But I'm not talking about that right now. Everyone stand up and pull out your phone and go to your contact list. Open up your contact list.
What's that?
And we're just gonna find out how many you have in your contact list. Now, if you have an Apple device, the way to do it is you're here and you click on the number and just scroll down, it'll tell you how many total at the bottom contacts you have. If you don't have an Apple, it probably works the same way. But my number's 810. Throw out your numbers. 611, 202, what? 17? 61? Anyone beat 17?
2309.
2309? Oh my gosh, 2000. Now, that number right there, if you have 200 instead of 2,000, that doesn't mean you're gonna sell less than her because you have less people in your cell phone, right? But what they've found is that 7 to 8% of your database is looking to move right now. So now go to your calculator, times the number, mine would be 810, times it by 0.08. My number is just over 60. What's your number? 167. Say your numbers, everyone.
26. Thank you.
Okay, so Brandon, out of your contact list, over 100 people are looking to move right now. How do you find out who those 100 people are? What are things to do?
Call
You pray about it. It's just nice. You call them, what else?
them. Text.
You text them, what else? Okay,
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook, use social media to find out, what else? Emailing them. You might not have a phone number for them, so you DM them. What else can you do? Be resourceful, guys. What else can you do?
Add value, you could drop off CMAs for anybody that owns a house.
You have their home address. You drop off CMAs to them. What else? That's a huge one, by the way.
You can invite them to events or something that you put together.
Invite them to events. Like, there's so many ways to find out who's looking at homes or who's looking to move, okay? The fastest way to do this is probably how? Calling them and asking them, okay? So you guys can sit down now. And that's such a massive thing right now that top producers are doing, is calling them. I'm gonna highly challenge you to get very uncomfortable in the next 10 days and call these people in your cell phone, and the new list that you're gonna create, call these people. And the point of it is to discover if they're looking to move right now, okay? And to get referrals from them. I just saw a realtor post. He's a top producer. His name's Jimmy Rex, and he spent a few hours the other day calling his past clients, and he got over 20 referrals, just a few hours. It's not because he's been doing this for 20 years. They don't just give him that because he's been doing it for 20 years. They know him. He has a connection with them. They like him. They know he has some credibility, right? So like, it's not because he's Jimmy Rex that he got over 20 referrals. It's because he actually called them and had a conversation with them. And it's as simple as this. There's an example. So you pull out, calling for referrals, and let's go through it together. And then we're gonna role play it. That's cool. I like that shirt. There's A in Zillow. But A in Zillow stands for accuracy.
This is my door knocking shirt.
That's so beautiful. Write that down, guys. Buy that shirt. Okay, so Elizabeth, I'm calling you. You're my aunt. Okay? You're on my cell phone. I'm calling you. You can literally just read this. Takes out the guesswork. Okay? You don't want to sound like a robot. I know that's why we're gonna role play it so you can start to internalize it. But hey, Elizabeth, I wanted to call for a business question. Do you have a minute?
I do have.
Okay, so as you know, I'm in real estate and it's going great. Last year I helped 20 people buy and sell and get into the home of their dreams. This year I have a massive goal of helping 30 people buy or sell or even invest. One of the biggest things for me every time that I have a closing is I donate $200 to my favorite charity. It's called the Front Row Foundation. It's kind of like Make-A-Wish, but it's for adults as well. Anyone that has a life-threatening disease or sickness, and it puts them in the front row of their favorite concert or sporting event, and they have a kind of a VIP experience. The last two I did, by the way, that I raised money for and participated in, they died within a year. It was a really cool memory for their family, and then they kind of have the philosophy of like, I would live life in the front row, right? Because if you've been there before in the front row, it's a totally different experience. That's how you should live life. And blah, blah, blah. Nugget. So this is why I'm calling. Do you mind if I check in with you every once in a while to see who you might know that's looking to buy or looking to move or invest that you could introduce me to? Okay, great. I really appreciate it. I don't know if this sounds too ridiculous to ask if you know anyone right now that's looking to move.
Yeah, my cousin actually.
Oh, cool. What's their name?
Rebecca.
Elizabeth and Rebecca. I like it. And then it says shh. Why does it say shh?
Stop talking, want them to think.
Don't say anything. You will talk yourself out of getting a referral when you interrupt them. You literally stop talking and it will feel like eternity. Don't say anything until they respond to you. Okay? So write that in your to-do list. Don't say anything. Just be quiet. You will get referrals from this. I promise you. In your brain, you just started thinking, no, I won't. What if they say, no, I don't know anyone? What if they hate me for calling me? Okay? You have this limiting belief that stems from who? Your parents that said, don't talk to strangers, or you're not old enough. And they weren't doing that intentionally to like affect you the rest of your life, but it is affecting the rest of your life. Okay, Justin.
Will you tell them why you say, hey, this is a business question, or hey, this is actually a business call?
I love to, when I have a conversation with somebody and I say, how's the family? And I talk to them for a while. And then I say, you know what? The real reason I'm calling, I didn't care about any of that stuff, but I'm calling you for the real reason. I'm being honest and transparent. okay? If they ask you questions, talk to them, yes, but another goal for me is I don't want to be on a conversation. Who's done this before? Who's called in to get referrals and to introduce yourself saying I'm in real estate, and each conversation is 10 minutes long. Okay, like you want to be efficient with this. I'm not saying be like this robot, but like get down to business and you will get immediate results. And then when you call that referral, I wouldn't, because you have this list, keep cranking and get more referrals, right? It's good to do that. So if you want to do it, but I would keep calling what you plan on doing, Parkinson's law, work expense the amount of time you give it, and you'll get 15 referrals in 1 to 2 hours instead of calling all day. So if you call that referral right then you get distracted, you put them in your schedule, and as you're putting them in your schedule, you look at your schedule, you're like, oh my gosh, that deadline's at 5, I gotta do that right now. I gotta send that counter right now. And you get distracted. And just do your appointment setting.
Yeah, for real.
That your appointment setting, your prospecting, and then call them, okay? So I don't know if you want to add more to
No,
that.
that was perfect. So I'll just use 2 examples. I know someone in my life that always kind of wants something from me, but he always starts his text like, hey man, how's it going? And I know he doesn't care how I'm doing. If he would approach it differently, I would respond differently. And so it's just a lot of fake rapport, and I know what his real intention is. Then I have another friend that called me. He owns an insurance company. He called me, hey man, I'm starting this business. I'm getting into insurance, blah, blah, blah. I would love to give you a quote. I'm like, great, cool. I'll just switch all my stuff over to you. And I did, like, because I like him and I trust him. But he had the real intention. This is a business call. I started a business. This is what I would do. I'd love to give you a quote. And then he has a deal, like in 5 minutes, because he wasn't trying to present himself in a way that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Because I know he cares about me, but he had a real business call with me, so that led me to have the real conversation that he wanted to have, and I appreciated the conversation.
I love it. And you might have been taught by your broker or someone else that build rapport with people, and so you're like, that's what I'm supposed to do, and I start talking to people. Why really digging deep? Why are you talking to them beforehand? Going back to a limiting belief. Why are you doing it?
Because you're afraid you'll reject you.
That's exactly right.
I think they can be 2 separate calls too. I love the how are you call, but make that call, how are you? And then make the business
Be
call,
done.
business call.
Well, I had a lady, I don't really talk too much. And then she reached out to me on Facebook and said, oh, I've been thinking about you, I have something for you. And I'm like, wow. And so I was like, really excited, and long story short, go home and she has this MLM thing to present to me. And it's like, if you would have just been honest, it felt like I wasted my time going, and I felt like it was worse than a phone call, because like she got me there, and I thought like, oh, you've been thinking about me trying to get me.
Those loan officers will get you all the time. I have a deal for you. How are you doing? I want to get to know you. Okay. I fell for it just the other day, actually. I was like, I haven't seen you in so long. You do want to get to know me too? As soon as we sat down, dang it, I fell for it. Bonus question, which is huge, okay, is after they give you the name, because you will get a name. After, then the phone number. Bonus question is, have you ever thought about investing in real estate? You're gonna get so much repeat business because of this. And you won't get any repeat business with investors if you don't ask this question. If they say, no, I've never thought about it, they're like, okay. And then they start thinking about it. And then a year from now and 2 weeks from now, they're like, actually, right? But if they say yes, you wanna be kind of prepared to have some intelligent, have some conversation with them. Kind of like how I just said, intelligent conversation. All right. It's commonplace. People, like, they just did a survey the other day. I don't know who, but somewhere out there in the ether. And the majority of Americans consider real estate a better investment than gold and stock. And it's commonplace for everyday people to buy a little rental or an Airbnb. People are going out of state to do it as well. Spring just bought one, right? In like Wyoming or somewhere. Yeah. So like you can get referral business that way too. So don't be afraid if they say, yeah, but I buy stuff in Texas. Like you can not represent that person, but you can get that 25, 30% every single time they buy stuff out of state. Right now, I have 6 deals going where they're investors. And then 2 that I push to, it's my brother-in-laws that are buying somewhere else, and so I push to other realtors, and they're giving me 25% of that. Like, investing is a really big deal. For me right now, I just started focusing on it, so I haven't done a lot with it, but in the last 3 years, I've helped clients do repeat business or buy investments with 20 doors. So it can be a really big thing. By the way, that's a small number. Like, this can be a really big thing in your business right now. If that's a nugget, if that's something that you want to focus on, then start focusing on it. So we're gonna role play this just for a few minutes. You're not gonna do it with the person that you're sitting next to. So the rules for this is you're gonna stand up while doing it, and you're gonna have a role-playing partner. You're gonna say it word for word, and then they're gonna say it word for word, reading it word for word. Do you wanna do that in a real conversation? No. Maybe not, but do it right now so you can start internalizing it and making it your own. If you have a completely different conversation with somebody, and you ask them the question, is that okay? Yes, this is just a little simple to execute script for you. All right, stand up, role play it. Another rule is if you're listening and you hear someone not role playing, I want you to punch them in the throat. And tell them to be pushed. All right, go for it. Who's your partner? If someone doesn't have one,
That's crazy.
Each other?
Wait, you should do this so you can start having a connection so people want to do business with you. And I do want to mention in real estate.
Why do you guys know that I don't know if this no worries. So you don't
Thirty more seconds. Be fast. No, I haven't
So it's really
All right, sit down. What's the bonus question? I shouldn't say that's a bonus question. Ask it. Always ask it. Put it in social media, on your social media all the time. Who, like that major exciter, a little bit more excited, thinking how much more you could add to your business doing this? Who needs, don't raise your hand just because you think you need to, but who needs to do this more? Everybody. Yeah. If you want to do this in your business and you're committed to, and you think, or you want to make a commitment by the end of this time, then do it. Okay? It can be really, really massive for you. But that's why I said it takes some time though to create a list of your SOI and to find their phone numbers. A really good source to find phone numbers, Whole Realty. you don't know what that is, write it. Cole Realty, Remind is another one. Those both cost money to use the actual features that work. And then also, which is, this one's free, which is the best, True People Search. I have found so many people doing truepeoplesearch.com. It is so beautiful. Under contract on a $6 million land deal right now because of truepeoplesearch.com. I could have gone to like whitepages.com, I guess, but they need to charge me for truepeoplesearch.com. All right, so that was when I asked, in that survey, what's the number one prospecting activity they do? They said making calls, asking for referrals, checking up on people. So start to make a commitment, and because we're gonna make some goals in a minute when we go over the schedule of like number wise, like I'm gonna call 100 people a day for the next 10 days. I'm gonna call 1,000 people, make 1,000 dials, or I'm gonna call one person a day. Like push yourself a little bit, but also you wanna be real with yourself, okay? So we talked about calls. I would hesitate doing texts asking for referrals because it's so easy for them to say, man, who felt a little bit like, dude, Front Row Foundation is rad. I'm glad you're doing that. Like it makes you connect more with somebody. By the way, I put optional because if you don't want to do this, then just skip that part and it won't be any less effective. But it's something that I like, okay? Another huge thing that what's your name? Justin mentioned is dropping off CMAs to people, updating them with the current value of their home. In my opinion, there's two things in this industry that I can provide real value to people. And that's giving them the price of their house, the value of their home, and also what their market is doing in their neighborhood, what the real estate market is doing in their neighborhood. When I Google, I want to create this template for do-it-yourself spring cleaning tips and getting your house ready. Like that's not. I don't want to say it's not value, but that's not. Like to me, value is something that I can give them that no one else can. The email that I send out, which I do still, of spring cleaning tips, they could have just Googled that. So massive real value is something that you can provide to them. Everyone will be appreciative of that. Not everyone that you send a CMA to is going to do business with you, and that's okay. But it builds your credibility. They might give you a referral. They might not sell their house with you, but they'll know people. And that's the point, is after you make this CMA for them, whether you drop it off or you mail it to them or email it to them, you call them a week later or maybe the day after and ask them if they have any questions about it. So I make them a CMA and with a little sticky note. Mine's a printed out letter, but you can put a sticky note that says, hey, you've been doing well on your value. Just wanted to give you an update on it. If you've ever been thinking about moving up or investing, give me a call. And then you call them after. You won't get any calls from this. Just understand, no one's going to call you from this. You have to call them after and just say, do you have any questions on that? Now, if you tack on the referrals as well, that might get back into what Justin was talking about, like, oh, that's really why you're calling me, is asking for a referral. So make it maybe 2 separate calls. Maybe it's not you're going to ask every single person for a referral. So I like some people emailing it. I like to print it out, and so they have it. And they put it on their counter table and they have it for an extra couple of days, or maybe they keep it for the next year. And people come over and they see it. I like my name everywhere in their house. They have magnets of me at all times, and the magnet's not, please do business with me. It's of the Jazz schedule, of the BYU Utah schedule, and my favorite NFL team is not the Chargers, but it's the Bears. And so it's just kind of fun. Next time I talk to them, yeah, the Chargers are so much better. Okay. And that's the kind of conversation I have with people because I add the Bears to it, right? And it's good. You give each other crap. I have magnets. I have they have kitchen knives with my name on it. They have CMAs. I send them other stuff as well throughout the year. And so your business should be built upon having a present that is present when you're not present. I probably butchered it, but you get the point. Like it's not your customer's job to remember you. Who has ever seen a for sale sign in your neighbor's yard and you're PO'd about it? Or your brother's yard? It's true. It's not your customer's job to remember you. It's your obligation and your responsibility to make sure they don't forget you. That is a quote that Faith has to memorize doing her sales pitch, okay? Like it's building a brand, right? Okay, so that's some marketing. Those two things, just with your sphere of influence, has a massive impact in your next 10 days. I promise you, you'll get referrals when you make the calls and you'll get appointments from doing this. You'll get listings and you'll get buys. You have nothing going on right now. I'm not gonna have you raise your hand, but if you have nothing going on right now, there's no excuse. Like that's what you can do. There's a reason why I said 60 to 85% of those top producers' business was SOI. Most of them were 85% of their business. So you can seriously only focus on your sphere of influence for the rest of your life and make a crap load of money, okay? I am not suggesting only dealing with your sphere of influence. Some of you are brand new to Utah, you've never known anyone in Utah, and so you're not gonna be able to leverage the people as well as someone who has more contacts, but it's still very doable. That's not an excuse, right? I wanna go into another thing, which is, a couple days ago, I was watching an Instagram interview. Tom Ferry was interviewing, can't remember his name, but he's a team lead, he owns a media company. And they were talking about the number one thing they're doing right now to get listing appointments. And what do you think it is? It's not sphere of influence, but for him and his team, what they're doing right now is getting the most amount of listing appointments more than anything else their team is doing. Close, but no. Those are effective, and we'll talk about them.
Open houses.
That's huge too, but not yet. The number one thing they're doing is, what are you doing, Jake? Is what he's doing.
Circle prospecting.
Circle prospecting, which is,
Calling, just listen to souls.
yeah, it's cold calling people,
Yeah.
right? It's just like what do you mean by, because some people are brand new, what's a calling around a just listed, just sold?
So if you get a house that's just been listed or recently sold, and you just call it on it, say, hey, I just sold this house in your neighborhood, and when home sells, usually 2 more will sell right away, and calling to see when you plan on moving.
That's aggressive. I love it.
Did you-
People respond well.
What
to
just
it, you
happened?
know?
What just happened? Was it yesterday or the day before?
Monday, so.
Just went to a listing appointment. Was texting, he's like, I'm on my way to a listing appointment. I'm like, oh, where'd you get it?
Oh.
Circle prospect, I think that's what it was. But I don't, you were talking about something else, I guess.
No, I have a listing.
Something else
today.
changed.
He was asking if I was coming today, I said I wasn't coming today.
Oh, that, okay. Yeah.
So I know, sorry, this is like another side thing, but I'm just curious in that way. So if you did something like that and you want to know the radius, how do you get all their numbers? You don't really know their names.
So we use,
We just pull it.
yeah.
Oh, are you on their team?
You just
Yeah,
see it. If you're on a team, we just pull that for you.
Oh,
Yeah, they
thank
can
you.
And we load it into
Just
your
tell me what you want
CRM.
to do.
Okay.
You
And
give
if
us
you're
the
not on
address,
a
we'll load it
team,
into your
that's why I
CRM.
mentioned Cold Realty and Remind. And you can utilize those. So Cold Realty is kind of expensive. It's about $80 a month, but what you can do, it's month to month. So you can spend the $80 and you can export 2,000 numbers and then cancel it. And then you're like, man, I ran out of numbers after a couple months. And then do it again, right? Or you know somebody that's at a different brokerage that provides Cold Realty and it's still theirs if you want to, okay? Now with Cold Realty, you can export up to 2,000 names and numbers a month, but you could take screenshots and screenshots and screenshots and screenshots and have a ton more. Now, the good thing about exporting is you can easily import it into your CRM. So if you have a dialer, even if you don't have a dialer, but the numbers are there, you go to the next person and you keep calling. Who is doing that currently?
No circle?
Circle prospecting. Raise your hand if you're doing circle prospecting, like 5 people in the room. Jake, what motivates you to get on the phone?
I actually just like having someone to call, if I have, my wife's an agent as well.
Okay, he's sort of weird. He just likes calling.
I don't know. So like, it's better than like, crap, what am I gonna do today if I have a list, or we have a listing, and we're like, oh, great, I can call you on this listing for the next 5 days. I think it's just.
But because he has a clear vision of what he wants. it's so much easier to do something when you have that, right? You're being told or something, not just because you have to. What was your name?
Scott,
You do it too?
Yeah.
What motivates you to get on the phone to do it?
because I like to buy houses.
Oh, you buy them, perfect.
Yeah.
That works too. Does that actually work?
Every day.
People sell you their houses, just
I
saying,
just-
hey,
yeah.
I'll buy it.
I just bought Sandy Salgon off of a text message.
So why is this talked about still, even though it's a 1960s thing? Because it works, okay? So I told Jay something the other day, and I'm like, you haven't been doing this, and you need to do this, not just with circle prospecting, with calling your sphere of, this is calling your sphere of influence, with, it doesn't work with door knocking, but it's called the double call, where if somebody doesn't answer, you call them immediately right back. And the reason why is they see a number that they don't recognize, and they're like, oh, well, don't answer it. And then you call them right back, they're like, oh, what? Must be important. Exactly, so they answer it. 30% or more of the time they'll answer it on the double call. Double tap is what you can call it. You don't need to call them 3 or 4 times. It doesn't work with the door knocking, right? It's not like you door knock and then you door knock again. Well, must be important. Don't ring doorbells, by the way. I know for a fact when my doorbell is rang, it's a little boy named Gunner, which is Haley Thomas's son, or it's a solicitor. Okay, knock on their door. Just a friendly tap, not the cliche one. You can do that, but
So I don't have it.
yeah, that's even. You don't need a doorbell. Again, it's their number one listing activity. Like, I want you to think of it this way, like, again, going back to your 6-year-old self of you were raised and you have this subconscious and you have these limiting beliefs. You have to uncover these limiting beliefs in order to get over them, right? And they're in your subconscious. You don't know what these are. And so you have to come up with them. Take some time and write them down. And that's not the only thing you can do, but that's the first step in overcoming these limiting beliefs. It's like when you're driving down the road and you're going 25 miles an hour, and because you don't know what the speed limit is, and then you see a speed limit sign for 40, what do? Speed up to 40 or 45 or 50, and you immediately go over the speed limit because you recognize what the speed limit is. So when you recognize what your limiting beliefs are, again, that's not the only thing you can do, but that starts it. The next thing is you have to now come up with an empowering belief. Well, I am good enough, actually. Does that create a new wiring in your brain, in your subconscious? No, you have to practice it over and over and over again, okay? So when you find yourself about to make phone calls or about to go door knocking or about to call your aunt for a referral, that can be very scary. I don't want to make light of that. Like, you can be very scared of that. And you have these what ifs. Like, well, what if they don't give me a referral? Or what if they hate me after this phone call? Or what if, like, on a more serious note, like, you do have all of these what ifs. And I had a life coach for many years back in my previous life, and something that she taught me, and she made me do every single phone call, and it was annoying. And we did it for literally 20 minutes of the phone call. I'm like, this is a waste of my money. And she made me play the what if game fairly. So if I'm gonna say, well, what if we don't hit our number? What if I don't win the Silver Cup? You play it the other way. Well, what if I do? What if I knock on the door and the person answers and they have all their buddies and they all want to buy an investment property right now? And you be as insane as you want to, and you come up with these what ifs, okay? I'm not saying you need to do that, but if you find yourself all the time being negative and saying, what if this, play the what if game fairly. So we are going to role play in a minute, the next one, which is circle prospecting. And some of you who I mentored and talked to yesterday morning never, ever, ever want to be a salesperson and cold call people. So I'm gonna still make everyone role play. And why do you maybe not want to make some calls, Elizabeth? You're not the only one. I am putting you on the spot, but why? Because so many people are thinking that right now.
Introduce the what ifs, and just the confidence, sorry, but now that I have to.
Oh, that's all. It's that easy. Because on the other side, people might be thinking you want to mostly work with your sphere of influence. But some people might be thinking, I don't want to. Like, I was raised being the youngest and I don't have any credibility. Everybody thinks I'm still too young. I have no experience. And like, I don't want to potentially cause a bad relationship. So they would rather make, like, whatever the situation is, they're all just limiting beliefs. They're valid, but they're limiting beliefs, and you have to uncover that and create an empowering belief. These calls are super, super powerful. Like, what if you made calls today, circle prospecting, and you set up 2 listing appointments, right? You don't have to do it, but if you are not getting the results that you want right now, you got to change something about that. So the script is coming straight from, I had a script, and then a couple of days ago when I watched this Instagram interview, I was like, I like that a little better. It was almost the exact same thing, but I liked it more because it was way more simple. Jake should continue to say the exact same thing he does. That's okay. Say what you want. This is just, you have something there so you're confident when you're speaking in front of them. But it's like saying, hi, my name's Jamie I'm a real estate agent with Real Broker. I saw you today, so I think you're real. And I'm working with dozens of buyers, and we've been making some offers in this area, actually. I don't know, actually, if you know about 123 Main Street. It was on the market, and now it's not. So I'm just curious if you know with any one of your neighbors that's looking to move the next couple weeks, that I could introduce my buyers to. And like, if it's, you don't say introduce, but you say connect. Like, that's okay, right? I want you to read this while role playing word for word so you can start to make it your own though. So stand up, same role playing partners just to save some time, and say it 1 or 2 times, go back and forth, and make sure your partner is role playing it, or what can you do? Flick them in the air. Have some fun with it. Smile when you dial, smile when you talk. Hey, just do that first paragraph. If they say yes, you don't need to go and read all those questions. Don't practice that for now.
Just practice the first part?
All right, yeah, just practice the first part. Tisha? You guys know each other? Or you're still smiling? You're in sex. Oh, he was telling me. We're just learning about it. So this is like a one more minute.
So it's accredited, and they have, like, they have you
I'm sure you've asked it, but it's like you're very hard. It's not a word.
once you get it done, Yeah, it's just something with an
All right. Sit
You're welcome.
The less thinking that you have, the better. Avoid thinking. It's true, actually. Thinking comes from fear. Thinking comes from your limiting beliefs. So if something scary happens to you, you just move on to the next thing. That's how I get over it. What did you guys get from this?
Lots of nuggets.
Okay, like what specifically? Think about it.
One thing I noticed is that when you guys, something I do is if I always practice, if you have the
Listen to
script.
this, because this comes from, he's been doing circle prospecting for months and months, and he does it almost every single day.
So it's just like, if you have the script in front of you, you always will know what to say on the phone. So like, I always have it with me if I get, once I get going on my calls, it's like after that, it's easy,
He spit out his script to us real quick, right? But again, you said you still have your script and objections in front of you. An objection is what? It's a very bad thing.
They don't exist.
It's a guide for more answers.
I like that. People have different attitudes on what an objection
It's just a concern.
It's a concern. How do you handle objections? When's the best time to handle them? Before they bring it up. Because you already know, if you've been doing, once you do it for a while, you'll know the objections that you get. So you just add those little things to your script.
Yeah.
Okay? An objection is not like, no, we're not going to sell our house and I don't know anyone. Bye. That's just a no. An objection is not a no. Keep that in mind. And I want to challenge you when you get off of a phone call to challenge yourself to think of, why did I choose not to set an appointment up? It's not them. It's on you, right? You shouldn't feel guilty about it. And Justin's not going to make you feel sad about it, but he's going to help you recognize what you could do on the next phone call to make it better. Okay? Now, one of my favorite things, just kidding, but I want you to stand up real quick because we're going to talk about something that is kind of, whatever. I don't know, actually. We'll see. I want you to make the noise that how you feel about door knocking. Some people were excited, so it immediately changed the room.
Love
But
Favorite
some
thing
people
in the
feel poopy about it, some people don't, right? Sit down. And I asked this to you two, like what motivates you to make calls? Really, like, you don't need to get motivated before you make the calls. Don't do that. You don't like hype yourself up to like, oh, if I'm not motivated, I'm not telling you to, Justin's like, well, don't hype yourself up. Okay, that's always hyping everybody up. I'm saying that if you are having a terrible day and you are not motivated to get on the phone and you're like, what if? Like, guess what's gonna motivate you? Getting on the phone, and after a couple, you'll be like, dude, this is easy. Okay, I'm back. Okay, sometimes I hate going to the gym, and I go and I start going, and when I'm there, I'm like, okay, I'm like having the best gym session that I've had in a long time because I went, but I was challenged at first. Door knocking. Let me try to change some of your mindsets, not yours, you'll love it, But if you're like, ugh, none of us enjoy, okay, like, you just gotta get it done. Now, we've made it enjoyable. Have our phone and we can get away, it's our time away from the kids. But we might not enjoy it, we just gotta get it done. I will say this too, drink less milk. So, door knocking. From now on, like, well, I want to say this, kind of like, to maybe try to help some of you that are like super negative about door knocking. I've never had any good results with door knocking. Door knocking is one of the most effective ways to get immediate listings. So again, door knocking is one of the most effective ways to do door knocking. How long have you had your license?
Coming up on 5 years.
Okay, and so that's longer than most people in the room, and you're like, immediately. Because the people that have done it and that do it agree with that. Why do you think every coach still talks about it? Why do you think half of you in the room, I'm like, what do you think is the number one that team uses? And you guys are like, door knocking. It's so effective. Circle prospecting is so effective, okay? I'm not saying do one or the other. I'm not saying do all of them. I'm saying like you're gonna come up, craft your own strategy. But for me, my first 2 listings ever were from door knocking. Quick story, actually. So I was in an area door knocking in Woods Cross. This is for my very first listing that I got. Knock on this guy's door. I don't remember what I say, and it really doesn't matter what you say. Like if you care less about what you say, you'll get better results. Like if you're building rapport with them, you're connecting with them, asking discovery questions and finding out about them. Bless you, or whatever that was. I don't even know what that was. Then you're gonna get better results. So I blab off to this guy. I don't remember what I said. And he goes, no, we're not looking to sell, and you should stop door knocking in this area because we have 3 realtors, so if anybody wants to sell, they're gonna use them, trust me. I already hate door knocking. Like, shuts the door, like, you're always gonna have people say crap to you. And I found in my life, it's the ones that love me the most that try to like, you suck. That sounds bad, and I'm not saying that's the case for everybody. That's just how I've grown up, or at least how I believe I've grown up. So, I have this, and I'm like, I just gotta keep door knocking. I knock on 3 more doors. They don't answer, and then the 4th one, cute little lady named Diane answers. Go through whatever I said. I was nervous because of the last guy. And she's like, hey, we're moving to Idaho in a couple months, and I don't know any realtors, so yeah, sure. And I don't know what I said after that. And I never had that at that point. Someone say yes. And so I literally don't know how I listed that house. Like, literally don't know how. And all of you have had, or you are about to have an experience like that where you're just like, it falls in your lap. Because like when you put in the work and you like align yourself with the universe, as crazy as it sounds, like things fall in your lap and it happens. So you just got that guy who said, do not door knock in this area. It's funny, he didn't say neighborhood, he said ward. So we have 3 ladies in the ward. Diane's Catholic. Even if she wasn't Catholic, that doesn't matter, right? She hates those 3 other ladies. So you gotta like, one, you make things fun. When I would call people, back in my past life, we would have big contests every couple months where we would have all day, we call them phone jams. Some of you call them blitzes, all day call days, and you set up appointments all day. And we would do that, and it was the most fun and rewarding days of my career. There were times that people set up 10, 20, 30, 40 appointments. It's a little different product we were selling, but we would set up a massive amount of appointments, sometimes thousands as a team. And it was a really fun time, and we had a great time, and we would dance and take breaks, dance breaks. We would bring tons of candy. If you have sessions where you're doing cold calling, like, you better have candy, okay? Like, I'm smart and conscious of what I eat and drink, but like, I love gummy bears, and so I would line up, when I would make my calls, I would line up gummy bears, whatever it is for you, and you eat a gummy bear when you set up an appointment, right? This last time that I did with Robbie on my team, I would bite a limb off of just one limb every phone call I made. Finished the whole bag, and it was awesome. Eventually, I was just like eating them. But you gotta make it kind of fun, right? Maybe this sounds crazy, but maybe like you have a goal of doing 20 listings this year. So go out and buy 20 lock boxes. And that's like, instead of your thermometer or checkboard, like your lock boxes, you take one out every time. But you're like, Matt, that's stupid because it's not like I have 20 at once. Hey, something to think about. That'd be kind of a cool visualization. You buy like 200 lock boxes for the team.
It's not happening. But we are doing a call blitz tonight. Everyone's welcome.
Oh my God.
And I'm not getting.
They don't have to be on, the team.
What's that?
Do they have to be on the team to do the call
They
blitz?
can come tonight between 4 and 7 upstairs, and if they want to call some lists and book some appointments, go for it. Everyone's welcome.
Write that down if you maybe are thinking about doing it.
The appointments just have to be for the team.
Hardcore. If I were to promise you $70,000 a year just working 3 hours a week, would some of you maybe possibly potentially think about door knocking for 3 hours a week?
Yes.
Some of you are like, 70 is not a ton. Some of you are like, that's more than I've ever made in my life. So whatever, like that's 70,000 just from door knocking. And that's like super conservative numbers. How I got that is like, these are like my numbers and numbers that I've heard from other people. The guy that talked 2 weeks ago, he was mentioning a little bit, like if you do
this is Scott actually spoke 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
I wasn't there, but I heard about it from like 5 people.
I know, it was awesome feedback. You guys can find that on,
Door knocking.
you guys, whatever.
Can
That's on
you
a
see
few
the past links?
Yes, I'll make sure, but we have everyone's stuff here, so we'll send it out to everyone.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe that if you door knock for 3 hours in a week, you will set up at least one appointment. Okay, I've had lots of times where I kind of measure it like for almost every hour I can set up. Now, not every single appointment is like, yes, come list my house. Sometimes it's like I'm coming back to tell them they want to see me. But if you did 3 hours in a week, and let's just say you set up one appointment for that week, times that by 4 weeks, 1 times 4 is 4. It's not 3%, so I don't know. So it's what? 4 to 8, because really sometimes you might get 1 to 2. So 4 to 8 appointments, listing appointments. Could that turn into probably at least 1 listing?
Yeah.
That's very conservative. So that's at least 12 listings in a year. That's $70,000 to $100,000, depending on what your split is of commission. Like I don't give you the $70,000, but that is like almost as much as I can do a guarantee. Like that's really what happens. Now, a couple of strategies or reasons to go door knocking. One, you mentioned open houses. That's a massive way. Like why do you do an open house? To sell the house?
Find more clients.
No, some of you are like, yeah, to sell the house. Well, you're a really nice person for your clients. Yes, maybe you're like to show your client that you're doing everything possible. It's really to find more clients, right? Most people ever in the country, they do an open house. The way they do it is it's on the MLS, and then they have a sign in the yard with a balloon tied to it, and they sit at the house. They show up at the time of the open house, and granted, there are some people that come in that are unrepresented, and they can get those people. You'll get, just from doing that, you will get business. But the whole point of doing an open house is to drive people to the open house. Not physically drive. Think of it as an event, okay? So you can do tons of signs, but I love the door knocking and you're inviting people to the open house. It really doesn't matter what you say to a person when you're door knocking. Have a reason why you're doing it, and it starts the dialogue. But for me, I always end it with like, have you ever had your home appraised? Or when's the last time you had your home appraised? So everyone say it, and they'll say yes, no, whatever. My response is the same. It's like, I can do the same thing. I take comparable homes that are similar in size and style, and I can give you a real value of your house. I know this area very well. And then, but you can transition to that no matter how like from inviting people to an open house, from your door knocking around, you have a listing right there, or it's somebody else's listing. What my, like, honestly, how I got those first two and how I've gotten many listings in the years after is I did it with homes that were under contract that weren't necessarily mine, but I would find an area that I kind of liked that had a high turnover, and I would find a house or two that were under contract. And I'm not gonna go, and we're not gonna role play the script, but if you want to, not right now, but there's a door knocking system in there where it's like, okay, you can call or text a few of the agents and find out, hey, you had a home that is under contract, congrats, by the way. I'm just doing some research if you had multiple people make offers on the house or something like that. So you text 2 or 3 because only one agent, listing agent, is going to get back to you, and then you go door knock around there and you say the Johnsons, and the script is right there. So, but that's like door knocking is a really, again, easy way and a fast way to get immediate listings, whether you're buying them for yourself or for other people. I know that's something that Brandon wants to get into. He would be an amazing person to talk to, right? You probably already have, actually. You were there at that training. So again, think less and yeah. So these.
Matt?
Oh yeah.
So a lot of you I've seen in my training 2 weeks ago, and I was in an area where I didn't know anybody. But the way I really started door knocking when I first started in real estate is I didn't have any listings. And so I would go to a team, it was a KW at the time, and Johnny and Clay, I'm sure you know them, the Red Sign team.
Johnny Christensen.
Yeah. And I said, hey, do you guys have some listings? Do you have some open houses that you need somebody to sit? And so I would go sit at their open houses, but the day before I would go door knock and invite people to the listing.
Perfect.
To the open house. Come see what your neighborhood is yielding. Come see how your house stacks up to this house. And it's really a non-confrontational way to start a conversation about real estate.
It's such an easy icebreaker,
Yeah.
right? Like I really like, I'm not just saying this, I don't think I've ever had someone mad at me.
No.
That means I'm not door knocking enough, really.
Because if you don't have a listing, look up a listing of somebody that's in your office. And if there's not an open house scheduled, call the agent and ask them, say, hey, would you mind if I held an open house for your clients?
All the people on our team that get open houses are not the ones that throw out a general question like, hey, anybody have an open house? It's the agent that actually has the one-off conversations. They find out who has the listings, they call, hey, congratulations on the listing. I see it's on the market now, and I would love to do an open house for you. We've had amazing luck on Thursday night open houses, Friday night open houses. We're having more people walk through those than on Saturday. So even if they're having one on Saturday, have one on Thursday. So you can get resourceful and find as many open houses as you like.
I know Preston's a newer agent, he's at Coldwell Banker, and that's something that he focuses on driving traffic to an open house. I've done food trucks at mine, and so when I door knock, I have this cool invitation that says we have a food truck coming, Fizz is coming, and then also we're doing a giveaway. Like you can do, like, try to draw people to it, okay? People get really excited about free food or a free Nest thermostat. Like, be creative, spend some money. Like, you're on the team, that doesn't mean you shouldn't spend money. Like, you should spend money on your business. It's still your business, right? Someone that was gonna come, Scott, you talked to him, he owns a lot of Fantastic Sam's, and all he does is spend money to try and keep his business afloat. So, like, you gotta spend money on your business to make money. Those are things that you can do immediately. Some massive things for your sphere of influence. I just want to throw out some things real quick that I see effective, but it's more of like, okay, look, just noodle on it a little bit and strategize, think about it, because you might not be able to do it for these 10 days. But I love doing events. I always have done events. And the last event we did was a month ago, and we did a pool party. It was kind of limited because you can't fit 500 people in a pool. And so we had almost 250 people there, and got 6 referrals from it. And again, I call it an event. I have the mindset of like, this sounds bad, but don't take it the wrong way. It's not a client appreciation party. Like, I am driving people that I don't know to the event, whether it's an open house is the event, or it's a random pool party, or it's a movie. I've done movies and I do them every year. Just right before COVID, our last one, I got 24 referrals from that. And then that year, 4 closed from just those events. And it was from the people that I had no idea that showed up to the event. And I didn't ask them to come to the event. They came with a past client.
You do it like a park or a movie theater?
A movie theater. I did it at Megaplex, and it was more than paid
Like
for
a-
a movie theater.
Sheet or something, just so that- or how did you get the results?
Oh, I'll talk about that later because we don't have time, but it was, yeah, it was more asking people to bring friends who
Got it.
potentially are looking to move to the event. Same thing with the swimming pool that we did. I did a big high fitness event, at Station Park a few years ago, and there were almost 300 trendy ladies here that I had no idea who they were. And the event cost thousands of dollars, and I spent $0 because I leveraged people I knew and who they knew, and they were the ones that spent the money and gave away tons of product, and lots of people started following me on Facebook or Instagram from that. Trendy mom, don't use Facebook. It's Instagram, sorry. It was a really cool event, and built your credibility more. But again, I do it not just, I want to build my brand, it's I want immediate stuff from it. By the way, I didn't talk once at the pool about business, but we still got 6 referrals. So again, I'm doing it to drive and to get referrals, but I'm doing it like I want it fun so people come and get. And people now know that I'm asking every single time to bring people, like, I want your business. I want referrals from you. You want people to know that you want that. Okay, you don't want to be a secret agent who's slightly like, you know, they just gave you a referral out of thin air. Like, they have to know that you want it. I want it. No point in dynamite. I want that. He mentioned, like, be resourceful too, and you can send out letters for all your buyers. You send out all of Tooele County letters that says, hey, I have a buyer that just moved here. This is their situation. And so they know that it's a real thing, right? They get those all the time. It's like, I have a buyer, and it's super general and they don't respond to it. If you actually have a buyer and you're trying to find your buyer a house, you will get other stuff from that. A huge, massive thing that's immediate right now is from, if you have current active listings or under contract, or maybe they just sold listings, instead of sending out like a just sold postcard, try doing this, is where you write a letter pretending you're the sellers. You have the seller's permission to do this. Pretending you're the sellers, and you say, hey, we just sold our house. Here's the address, and Jake was our real estate agent, and he did a fantastic job. This is what he did to market our home, and he had open communication. We felt no stress. It was the best experience we've had. And it's you crafting it, and then you show it to them. They're like, that letter will work. If they want to change it a little bit, they can. It's from them. When you're mailing it in an envelope, it's from the sellers, not you. And that's gonna get way better results than just a just sold card, okay? If you wanna put, like, you're not just sending it to their neighborhood, right? To the people that they know, you're sending it to a lot of people around it. So they might not know who the Johnsons are, but if they're fine with you putting a picture of them, and they're like, oh, I see who they are. So that's another little, if you wanna call it a nugget, you can, but those are seller letters. Now we've talked a bunch about prospecting. We're gonna take a few minutes before we do this thing, and we wanna write down, I want you to star, asterisk, think back, look off your neighbors, cheat off theirs, and oh, I forgot about that, and just come up with your 3 priorities of what you're gonna implement immediately. Okay, we're gonna spend about 2 minutes doing this. I want you to really think about, don't just go through the motions right now. I really want you to, like, look at your business and what am I going to do immediately, not just for the next 10 days, but I really want to focus on it. Like door knocking, I'm gonna go tonight. I'm gonna go door knocking right after this, and then I'm gonna show up to that call blitz. Like, if you're that committed to make some money, then write that down and do it. So Jim Rohn says if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So don't have this huge long to-do list every day, or you're not gonna get any of it done. You have 3 priorities that you're gonna do. Good luck on your listing appointment. From Circle Prospecting. One more minute. Oh, that's beautiful, dude. Think of 3 things. The 3 things that you're gonna implement immediately. If you have written, actually, we'll wait to do that. 10 more seconds. And then don't think about it anymore after this. You only have 10 more seconds to think about your business. All right. Tell your neighbor, a neighbor. Neighbor means like, don't like call your literal neighbor, like next to you. Tell your neighbor the 3 things. Go for it. With a big smile on your face.
Small ones. See what I want to do. I gotta order my door hangers. Text blast. Door knob.
But that is
My marketing.
Someone already
What are your 3? Oh, money. Okay, I'm gonna challenge you guys. If you put like cold calls, start thinking about when you're gonna do it. Like, what are you committed to do regarding door knocking? Calling your sphere of influence would be amazing at the call blitz. See if you're like, dude, I'm gonna get 20 referrals tonight at this call blitz. And when are you gonna get these things done? All right, everyone look up here. We only have 10 minutes. Everyone grab this handout, then flip it to the back and do a little thing to figure out how it works. All right, so we have 10 minutes and then Faith is gonna show you just a couple of her gifts. Speak for a few minutes, but I wanna do this for 10 minutes. I think this is the most important thing we're gonna do. So everyone stand up. Everyone stand up real quick. That was so dumb. Sit down. Stand up with energy. Sit down, everyone. Sit down. Oh, show everyone energy. Just kidding. Everyone stand up. Go. All right, so everyone do a spin and high five your neighbor and say, go door knocking. Go door knocking. All right, so sit down. This is the most important part of this whole entire training, all right? It has nothing to do with what I'm going to say. If you want to ignore me for the rest of the time, but I want you to spend 10 minutes now, and we're going to do less multitasking for the rest of our life and more time blocking, because Parkinson's law says work expands to the time allotted. So listen, in the morning when you wake up, there is so much going on in your mind. Maybe not immediately, but like as the day starts going, you start thinking about, oh my gosh, I gotta counter that addendum, I gotta talk to this buyer's agent, I have to buy that house today, when am I gonna find time to door knock? And like things just are so crazy, there's so much drama when your day is not designed. So you have to have a morning routine, you have to do it. Tony Robbins says you must do it, all right? Not just have to. So listen, a morning routine, the point of doing it is so that it's like a slingshot, that you pull it back, and the farther you pull back the slingshot, the farther the rock goes. If you just pull it back a little bit, doink, the pebble doesn't go very far, okay? The morning routine will give you more energy and focus and productivity. It decreases your stress level. It improves your overall health. Again, it increases like your focus for the day. It organizes your thoughts. Also, like, you attract more monetary wealth doing it. You uncover, you begin your life's journey. So it's not just about real estate. Like, I would actually like very much invite you guys to not do anything regarding real estate for the first hour or two that you're in, and just work on yourself. The more clear your vision is, the less noise there's gonna be. When you adjust those rabbit antennas, like the less static there is, like, your career and your business is only one aspect of your life. You got your health and fitness and recreation. You got your personal and family life. You got your spiritual life. Like, you have a lot of areas that you got to take care of. And the more clear like, I went to Tony Robbins 13 years ago, and that's the first time I was like, I knew who he was, but that was the first time I was introduced to him. I did the fire walk, I made my move, and
Say yes.
I said yes so much. And the biggest thing that I've carried, and I say almost every day still, is my vision statement. And it's changed dramatically, right, from the first time I wrote it. But my areas of life are health. There's 4 of them, guys. If you want to write this down, then you don't have to. My health or recreation, my family life, my career, and personal/spiritual. And the thing about it is you're not writing down what you want or what you think you are. You're writing down who you are. And you gotta be really careful, right? Because we have these limiting beliefs. So we're not writing down who we think we are, because sometimes, again, that's thinking. We gotta get to knowing. And so you're gonna get better at this. And so I would suggest during this morning routine, you're working on not just saying your vision statement, but you're improving it, okay? Be very careful. Some of you are like this. I'm like this, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about vision statement and figuring out my why, and I'm gonna do that all day tomorrow. No, okay? I love Justin for this one reason. And he said to me, there's so many other reasons, but he said, and I love, it changed a big part of me. Like, we read so many, or listen, or podcasts and all that about like finding your why. And he says, you probably will just find your why. I'm butchering it. You'll probably find your why just by doing what you need to do right now. And that's how you find your why. You're not gonna like meditate and Buddha your way into finding your why, okay? You have to make money, and you have to enjoy your kids. You have to be present with them. Anyway, spend time. So like, everyone, forget about your schedule right now and go to this morning routine. There's just a few more minutes before Faith talks. And I'm not saying you have to get up at 5 a.m. But there's the option right there, 4:30. So many of my neighbors get up at 4:30 and go to the gym or go running. My wife right now is getting up and they're biking to the pool, swimming, and then biking back for their training for a triathlon. And so you've got to sweat. Every day, make a goal of sweating somehow. I love back sweat. I love armpit sweat. Okay, butt sweat is gross, but I love it, okay? And then, so what are you doing at 5 a.m.? What are you doing at 6? What are you doing at 7? There's visualizations, there's prayer, there's meditation. Create your own kind of routine that you're gonna be excited about and that it's consistent. Don't do something that Justin tells you to do or that I tell you to do. Don't let other people dictate your actions, remember. Like, you figure out what's really exciting, and in 2 days, you're like, I didn't follow this schedule at all. So don't keep trying to do that. That's not you, and you're not aligned with that, so change it a little bit, okay? And then after you figure out your morning routine, and maybe it's just hanging out with your kids in the morning, because you know it's gonna be crazy. I would highly challenge you to wake up before your kids though, and maybe spend 30 minutes by yourself, okay? Not business, doing your own thing. So put your morning routine every morning from when to when. You can prospect whenever you want. Have this intention and this mindset from now on. Don't write prospecting, don't call it prospecting, call it appointment setting. You see or hear the difference. All right, appointment setting, and don't just write appointment setting. What are you gonna do specifically? Now, you might not know right now that next Monday you're gonna plan on cold calling. Maybe you do. Do it as best you can right now, and then every morning you gotta time block. I don't know when I'm going to do real estate, like on Wednesday. I know when I'm gonna appointment set, but like, I don't know when I'm writing that addendum. Okay, like, don't let real estate get in the way of appointment setting. You will always have so much stuff to do. I can't go door knocking right now. I have so much to do, or it's too hot, it's too cold, it's raining. Oh, it's a perfect day, so everybody's gone. Like, there's always gonna be an excuse, and you're always gonna have so much to do. But again, after you do all of those things, like let's say you decided not to appointment set because you have so much to do. After you do those things, guess what you still have to do? You have so much more stuff to do. Like, I guarantee you're gonna get this stuff done. You've got a time block for your appointment setting, okay? Basically after 12, do whatever the hell you want, but appointment set before that. Like 9 to 10:30 or 9 to 11, give yourself an hour to 2 hours every day and appointment set. Appointment set doesn't mean I'm so scared I have to call 1,000 people every single week. No, it's like I'm gonna call like 20 people to get referrals from my SY this day. I'm like, sit down with this at some point and be excited about it. Transfer this to your phone or your Franklin. And so you can actually have it on you. We're not gonna go over what your goals should be right now, but figure out your goals too. Real estate conversations, I think, Justin, it's kind of like, they have the metrics down, basically for every 100 conversations you have results in one transaction. Or
Yeah, so for every 100 conversations, depending on your conversion rate, if you're a new agent, your conversion rate is probably gonna be 1 appointment for every 100 conversations. So if you had 100 conversations every week, that's when you set 4 appointments a month. That'd probably lead to 2 closings. 2 closings a month for a brand new agent is a lot of money. So if you just want a simple way to get 2 closings a month, have 100 conversations a week. For our veteran agents, they can set 3 to 7 appointments for every 100 conversations for somebody that takes it very, very
that's
seriously.
a massive jump.
Yeah. Our ISA, internal sales, she can set 12 appointments for every 100 conversations, but she is a master at it. So whatever you want to do, but if you have a standard of 100 conversations, you have a great shot at being in the game. Everyone on our team that meets their financial goals, they have 100 conversations a week. Everyone that doesn't hit their financial goals, they don't have 100 conversations a week. Yeah.
That's interesting. I bet some of you in here, when he was saying that, for our newer agents, it's 1 for every 100. You're like, okay, so I'll plan on 1 on 100. That's a limiting belief that you have, right? Doesn't mean you can't get 12 for every 100 just because you're not the ISA. So just something to noodle on too. I want you to, take this serious. I don't care how I sounded, what I looked like. If you took away, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and for these next 10 days, I'm gonna practice, repeat. Some of the stuff that I got here was super powerful. Like if you got that, mission accomplished. Life is a bunch of little decisions. And Tom Ferry says this, he took it from somebody else and probably took it from somebody else. If you spend the next 5 years doing the things that most realtors aren't willing to do, you'll have the life for the rest of your life that most realtors don't have. So maybe it's year 3 for him. Maybe it's, you haven't done this yet. Start it, and it's those little decisions that others aren't willing to do. Don't do things because you think you should do them, and you're not gonna consistently, it doesn't align with you. Like, pick the things that you're gonna be consistent at. And there's plenty of stuff that we gave you that you can align with. If none of those things align with you, real estate's gonna be very, very difficult. Okay? Anyway, I have fun. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up Faith, and Faith, I've known her for 7 years-ish now. She has sold so much Cutco in her life, and I used to do the same thing she is